I'm Andy Smith. I'm an appreciative inquiry facilitator and trainer and have been for about the last 12 years now. First thing, involve everyone who's affected by the change, or at least representatives of them, in deciding what that change would be. At least get their input into how that change is implemented. You won't have to sell the change to them or get their buy-in because they already own the change because they've contributed to it, so they'll feel that it's theirs. That's one aspect. Another thing is look for the best in your people. Assume that they can perform beyond where they have so far. Look for the sparks of creativity, look for the sparks of positivity, fan those flames, fan those sparks so they get stronger. It's really hard for somebody who looks up to you as a leader or who you're in a position of authority over to perform beyond your expectations. I'm guessing you listeners with the thing called the Pygmalion experiment. Imagine that you're a teacher and you just joined a new primary school and head teacher introduces your class to you. While they're not listening, the head teacher says, okay, so this kid, you're not going to have any problems with them. They're gifted, you know, they're really bright, they're well behaved, they're going to really perform well. But this kid, they're a bit maybe backward, bit underperforming. They're not so bright. So just watch out for them. When the test results come in at the end of the first term, absolutely the scores are as the head teacher predicted. So some of the kids perform above average, some of the kids below average, and they are exactly the ones that the head teacher identified. This was in the 60s, they did this experiment. Robert Rosenthal, I think the experimenter was. I don't even know if this would get through an ethics committee today, because what they didn't tell that teacher was all of those kids have been selected to be of average ability. So the only difference was the teacher's expectations of how well they would perform. Now, obviously, the teacher wasn't deliberately treating one set better than the other, but just subtly the expectations communicated themselves. So this has been replicated loads of times, and I believe in management contexts as well as student contexts. The lesson is, the moral is, expect that your people can perform better than they have been. Assume there's always something more there. So don't artificially limit people's performance by your expectations. Right. Third piece of advice, maybe this is the most crucial one of all. Realize that you as a leader don't have a monopoly on the truth. You don't actually have to know everything. You can't know everything. People on the front line know things that you don't. Even if you came up through the ranks from the front line, things will have changed since you were there. People in the sales department know things that people in the accounts department don't, and vice versa. And people in IT know stuff that marketing doesn't, and vice versa. So the more diverse input from people in different roles, from different viewpoints you have in creating whatever change you're implementing, the more robust, the more realistic, the more likely to succeed your solution's going to be. In fact, there are some challenges which are so unprecedented, so complex, that you actually can't know the answer to them. Some problems, you know, you can break it down into smaller parts and you know that there's best practice for solving each of those. Fine, break it down into those parts, apply the best practice, make a plan and get it fixed. But for other situations, your plan or vision isn't going to work because there are so many unknowns. So all you can do in those situations is use some kind of dialogic process of getting people to talk together with each other in a kind of structured, positive way to generate ideas about how to move forwards. And you know that some of those ideas aren't going to work, but that's okay. You just don't know which ones. So you try them out, you drop the ones that don't work, you keep and build on the ones that do work. Appreciative inquiry is my favorite method out of many, many methods for encouraging those positive conversations that generate ideas. It's not easy to do that without some kind of tried and tested structure. Also, what I've found is if people are trying to implement appreciative inquiry from a book, let's say, sometimes they can do it. At the same time, very often it's really hard to believe it's going to work because it's so different from what's been tried before. I myself, when I was trained in appreciative inquiry like 15 years ago, I did a 3-day training with a leading appreciative inquiry consultant in the UK. I thought it was great. I thought it was interesting. I could not quite see how it would work. And it wasn't until some of my fellow students on that course got together, formed a consultancy, and started actually running appreciative inquiry processes. And they invited me along to be a table facilitator, somebody who works with a small group of people in a larger appreciative inquiry process and just makes sure they stay on that positive track. It wasn't until I saw it with my own eyes and had some experience of it that I actually started believing it would work. I'm a firm believer that the best way to really understand appreciative inquiry is to actually take part in an appreciative inquiry process. So this is what I do in my courses. I run like a mini appreciative inquiry process so that people can actually participate in it, so they're not seeing it from the outside. Other people have told me that, yeah, the theory, I can understand the theory from reading it in books and hearing about it and so on, but it's not until I actually, not to boast, but this guy said it's not until I actually came on your course that I understood the spirit of it. You can, yeah, you can do it by yourself, and if you're lucky, you'll get results. You're going to tremendously increase your chances of success if you get some training in it that is focused on the practical areas of what to do, how to do it, and actually takes you through participating in an appreciative inquiry process as part of the course.